Right. So instead of reading the whole text, we read the quote, the aphorism, the fragment, the chapter, and this allows us to apply the text in a lot easier way. So we can use the text as a tool, not as just a place for information, not as a way of saying I read the text, but actually to use the text as a tool to investigate the problems or discourses that we want to look at. Uh, so we want to get used to this idea of reading the quote, okay, instead of um, looking at the whole text, okay. So if we apply ourselves, if we do what we call close reading to the quote, we can distill, the essential information out of the quote. It might not be uh, necessarily what the author intended or what the educational institution wants you to get out of the text, but there's enough within the quote, within the small writing sample, to uh, to utilize it, to make it useful for us. So you have to get into a sort of a different reading sort of style. You're not reading a lot, but you want to read closely, and sometimes that's hard because in our general education, or in our disciplinary education, I could say, we're doing general education here. In our disciplinary education, or in our professional education uh, classes, those tend to be more textbook driven, more um, sort of reading marathon driven, where you have to read a lot and you're reading so much that you're just getting information, uh, and that's to the point where you can't even apply it. So that's sort of where most of us are coming from in our education modalities, and so it takes a little while to get away from that and to read the small part in a very critical and generative way. So that's what we're after here. Okay, so and so I think this is a good technique to learn to get you through college, right? To read the small sample and then build your ideas off the small sample. It allows you to read more quickly, more effectively, and most importantly, communicate or write more effectively if you do that. Okay, so we sort of want to experiment with this sort of technique here. All right, so that's sort of the theory behind using quotes and what we're trying to do in the class with the quote. We're always trying to cut down the text to a smaller version of it that we can use. That's the basic idea.